नमस्ते। गतवर्गे वयं मिलित्वा धातूनां क्रियातिपत्तिल् रिङ् इति रूपं दृष्टवन्तः. So last time we looked at the different conjugations of the kriyatipattil ring form or the conditional form of verb conjugations. Today's lesson, which is lecture number 27, I'd like you to introduce you to another form of conjugation of the vidhi or the optative. So in today's class, we'll do a brief revision of the kriyatipattil ring, the conditional, and do a revision of the anadyatana bhuta and as well of the ajna forms or the imperative forms, and this will be followed by an introduction of the vidhi to the vidhi or the optative, and there will be a little bit of building of your vocabulary around that. So let's do a revision of what we looked at last time. Here I introduced you to the 10th group of verbs known as the churadi ganaha, and we saw that the kriyatipattil ring was this combination between the bhavishyakala and the bhutakala, and I just wanted to add at this point that this is one kind of a conjugation which allows you to dream. So it's that form that you can just put your pen down and say, if this happened, then that could have happened. So all your daydreams can be very beautifully expressed using the kriyatipattil ring. Tari atra asti kathayati in the vartamana kalam becomes akathayishyat. Saha akathayishyat. Tau akathayishyatam. Te akathayishyan. Uttamam. Tvam akathayishyah. Yuvam akathayishyatam. Yuyam akathayishyata. Aham akathayishyam. Avam akathayishyava. Vayam akathayishyama. Uttamam. So another thing here is that if you learn the kriyatipattil ring, you will automatically have to, or you will automatically become familiar with the bhavishyakala and the bhutakala. So it's a good place to also start. Astu. Tari atra, let's move on to another one that we looked at last time, which was the verb bhu from the bhuadi gana, the first group, and here we had abhavishyat, abhavishyatam, abhavishyan, abhavishyah, abhavishyatam, abhavishyata, abhavishyam, abhavishyava and abhavishyam. So if I'd like to open it up to you and you say yadi something abhavishyat, what would you have become if your life took a different turn and you say, let's say if you say that if I was young again, then I would be a singer, let's say that. Yadi aham yuvakah or yuvati abhavishyam, tarhi aham gaika abhavishyam. So if I was young again, I would try singing or become a painter or become a journalist. And atra asti, in this verb, in this place I have again left it for you to practice. So yadi samayah abhavishyat aham karyam akarishyam. Yadi samayah abhavishyat aham kutra Delhi. So Delhi agamishyam. In my case, yadi samayah abhavishyat aham avashyam Pondicherim agamishyam. Okay, so atra karyam. Yadi karyam akarishyat, if the person had done the work, then tada or tarhi akridishyat or chalanachitram adrakshyat. Uttamam. And finally, yadi samyak apatishyat, if he had studied well, then would have written the exams well. Pariksham samyak alekhishyat. Uttamam. So let's move on to do a quick revision of the ajna and the bhutakala, and again you will understand why we are doing this recap. So here I am sticking to the churadi gana here, and we are looking at the verb kathaya still. So kath still. So kathayatu, kathayatam, kathayantu, kathaya, kathayatam, kathayata, kathayani, kathayava, kathayam. Astu. Bhutakale kim bhavati? Bhutakale akathayat, akathayatam, akathayan, akathayah, akathayatam, akathayata, akathayam, akathayava, akathayam. Astu, atra kevalam punasmaranam asti. It's only a revision here. So we'll move on. And now aham vidhiling iti prastavam karo, vidhilingah prastavanam karomi. So I'm going to present you with the vidhiling forms, and we'll do a little practice also around that. So just to tell you what the vidhiling or the optative is, so the optative mood, it's not a tense, astu tense nasti, etat mood asti. So the optative mood indicates the attitudes of the speaker, such as vidhi, meaning the duty, nimantrana or an invitation, amantrana or permission, adhishtha, solicited instruction, then samprashna, which is a courteous inquiry, and finally prarthana, so or the prayer. Vidhiling is used in all these different contexts. So I'd like you to observe this table that we have in front of us, where the top part represents the anadyatana bhutakala and the lower part is the vidhiling or the optative that we are looking at today. So here we have akathayat. So just observe it just take a few seconds to observe it and see what is in common and what is different. This is like that game, no? When you have two pictures and you're asked to identify the 10 differences. Yeah, so have you found it? Okay, so here we have akathayat. Saha akathayat becomes kathayet. So what is same and what is different? Yes, so the th at the end is the same and the is different. So we have kathayat. Akathayat becomes kathayet. So what has got added? The a on the year. So has dropped and instead we have the ye now instead of the year. So saha akathayat, saha kathayet, tau akathayatam, tau kathayetam. Uttamam. Te akathayan, what would you expect? Te kathayen. But no, if you observe, what you get is kathayeyuhu. So this is the only place where it is really different, and you need to remember that. Okay, and this form of the optative is really about saying, may you do this, so may you speak. So now tvam is akathayaha and here it would be kathayehe. Okay, pretty much the same. Next, akathayatam for the yuvam becomes yuvam kathayetam, the same. The yuyam akathayata becomes yuyam kathayeta. Uttamam. Moving on to aham, aham akathayam becomes, so aham akathayam becomes aham kathayeyam. Pretty much the same thing, only thing that is added is a ye, an extra ye gets added there. Kathayeyam. And then avam akathayava becomes avam kathayeva. So the a is replaced by the a here and akathayama becomes kathayema. So once you have the yeva, it becomes yema is identical except for the va and the ma. Uttamam. So I'd like you to also observe the chart that we have for the 10th group, the Churadi Gana, and what do you see that? Chorayatu becomes chorayet, kshalayatu kshalayet, chintayatu chintayet, suchayatu suchayet, pathayatu pathayet. That's to give you a little bit of a comparison also with the ajna put beside it. And I'd like you to say, may he or may all of you speak the truth. How would that be? May all of you speak the truth. So all of you would be yuyam, speak kathayeta, what? The truth. Tari yuyam satyam kathayeta. You may all speak the truth. Astu. So let's move on to another exercise here. So I've tried to put them side by side, and we have abhavat becomes bhavet, abhavatam bhavetam, abhavan bhaveyuhu. So this is really what is very different. Then abhavaha becomes bhavehe, abhavatam bhavetam, abhavata bhaveta. Uttamam. Abhavam abhaveyam. So this year is addition with the vidhiling compared to the bhutakala. Abhavava becomes abhaveva and just bhaveva, not abhaveva. Abhavava becomes bhaveva and abhavama becomes bhavema. Uttamam. So I'd like us to again use this chart here that we had done of yadi tarhi, and it is possible to put this in that context as well. So yadi samayaha bhavet. So if there is time, then Saha karyam kuryat. He might do the work. So here there is this concept of he might. If there is time, then he might do that. What was it in the previous one? If he had time. So it's already not a possibility. So if he had time, then he would have. So it's a completed situation and there is no possibility of enacting that particular action. But here we do have it. So the vidhiling allows us that possibility. It says if there would be time. So if samayah bhavet, yadi samayah bhavet, tarhi karyam kuryat. He might still do the work. He may still do the work. Similarly, samayah bhavet kolkatam and then gachet. So yadi samayah bhavet saha kolkatam gachet, and that of course you can use all the other pronoun conjugations also in there. So yadi karyam samapnuyat, the root form is ap, means to get, but samapnoti is to finish. Okay, apnoti to get. When you get from all directions, then you have finished the work. That's the underlying logic. Tari yadi karyam samapnuyat. It's a little different, huh? It's not exactly like the eighth that we've seen, and that's because this belongs to another group of words like kuryat. It is not kuryet. Huh? So we need to learn some more. We'll keep that for another time. Yadi karyam kuryat, tarhi saha kridet. Then he may play. Yadi karyam kuryat, chalana chitram pashyet, not drakshyat, like we had seen, adrakshyat. All right. Now, if he studies well, then he may write the exam. So, yadi samyak pathet, tarhi pariksham likhet. So, if he studies well, he may write the exam. That still is a possibility. So, this is a more serious thing where consequences are yet to follow the first part of the conditioned state. So, very interesting. So, again I'd invite you to practice this a little more. So, this is one of my favorite subhashitas where there is an application of the vidhiling, but it's with the form like kuryat. Okay, so bru is to speak. So, it says satyam bruyat, priyam bruyat, na bruyat satyam apriyam, priyam cha nanritam bruyat, esha dharma sanatanaha. So, it says that you must speak the truth, satyam bruyat, priyam bruyat, but the truth must be pleasantly conveyed. Na bruyat satyam apriyam. A harsh truth or an unpleasant truth need not be spoken about. Priyam cha nanritam bruyat. Now, just because you have to say pleasant things doesn't mean that there will be untrue things, anritam. And esha dharma sanatana. This is an eternal law, or this is an eternal truth. Okay, law basically. So it says speak truth in such a way that it should be pleasing to others. Never speak truth which is unpleasant to others. Never speak untruth which might be pleasant. This is the path of the eternal law or the Sanatana Dharma. Okay, so grammatically there is, here we have Satyam Bruyat, Priyam Bruyat, Na Bruyat, Satyam Apriyam. There is a Sandhi there of Satyam plus Apriyam. Priyam cha Nanritam. So we have Na plus Anritam becomes Nanritam Bruyat. Esha Dharmaha will actually get a Visarga there. So Esha Dharmaha Sanatanaha. So I'd like you to repeat this after me. Satyam Bruyat Priyam Bruyat, Na Bruyat Satyam Apriyam, Priyam cha Nanritam Bruyat, Esha Dharma Sanatanaha. So, because this shloka was about right speech, let's look at what the Tipitaka, which is the doctrinal foundation of the Theravada Buddhism, has to say about right speech. It says, and what is right speech? Abstaining from lying, from divisive speech, from abusive speech, and from idle chatter. This is called right speech. So, some references for you there. And thought I'll tell you a small story quickly. Tari ekada ekam katham shravayami. Ekada ekaha janaha Socrates, Greek deshasya mahan darshanikah or philosopher asit. Ekam dinam tasya bandhu janaha or relative agatya tam vadati. Hey Socrates, aham bhavantam kimapi vaktum ichhami. Tada Socrates uktavan astu prathamam kathayatu. यत् भवान् वक्तुम् इच्छति तत् सत्यम् अस्ति वा न वा. So what I'm going to tell you, is it true or not? तदा एषः वदति अहं निश्चितरूपेण न जानामि, अहम् अपि श्रुतवान् एतद् विषये. तर्हि सोक्रेटिस् पृष्टवान्, अस्तु तर्हि द्वितीयप्रश्नः, भवान् यत् वदति तत् प्रियम् अस्ति, तत् साधु अस्ति किम्? तदा एषः वदति नैव, तथा नास्ति. तदा सोक्रेटिस् पुनः वदति, तृतीयं प्रश्नं पृच्छति, भवान् यत् वदिष्यति तद् मम उपयोगाय भवति किम्? विल् इट् बि यूस्फुल् फार् मी? तदा सः वदति नैव. तदा सोक्रेटिस् वदति, तर्हि अहं श्रोतुं न इच्छामि. यदि भवान् यत् वदति तत् सत्यं न भवेत्, तत् युक्तं साधु न भवेत्, तत् उपयोगाय न भवेत्, तर्हि तादृशवचनस्य किं प्रयोजनम्? So basically Socrates talks about using these three filters for speech. The first being, is it true or not? Secondly, whether what one is wanting to convey is good, has something nice in it. And thirdly, whether what is being conveyed is useful to the listener or not. And if what one wants to say doesn't fit any of these filters, then what's the use of such speech? Astu. So for these few words, samatastute, let equanimity be yours, abhyasam karotu, anandam cha anubhavatu.